Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Online Teaching Show. My name is Tim Gascoigne, and I'm thrilled that you are here. I've just been doing a few things during the countdown timer there, trying to get an email notification sent out. But anyway, if you're joining and you're here live, welcome. We're going to be talking about the Chinese regulations because the Ministry of Education in China has issued some updates, I would say reclarifications of kind of what happened back in 2021 with the crackdown on off-campus tutoring, with a sort of an umbrella clause relating to online teaching, sort of schools that operate after school to help students progress in different languages and in different subjects, and it really does cover a lot. One of the questions that I get asked many times and have been asked many times over the last couple of years is, can we still teach Chinese students? My answer is always yes. And the answer to that question today is still yes. I'm going to sort of preface a lot of things today with asking you to do your own research and your own homework into this. I am not a lawyer. I don't live in China. I don't teach in China. I used to live in China several years ago, but I don't have any background on Chinese law, and, reading documents that have been translated from Chinese into English lose a lot of meaning. And to be quite honest, it's very difficult to know exactly what is happening. So I'll kind of preface all that by saying that, and to ask you to do your own research and to look at these things for yourself. As online teachers, whether you're with a company or not with a company, or teaching independently or teaching a handful of Chinese students, I really encourage you to see this as your business and something that you should try to protect and try to follow guidelines with. So we're going to do that. We're going to talk about those. Please do hit the like button. My email has not gone out, so I would appreciate it if you are in any Facebook groups. You can just take the link of this YouTube Live and you can paste it into your favorite online teaching Facebook group. Speaking of Facebook groups, I run the Going Solo Independent Teaching Facebook group. The link for that is below. Anything that really we talk about today, I've linked it all below. There's a ton of links. I've pasted 2 Ministry of Education sort of Chinese issued documents / press releases, I guess, related to this topic that I'm going to be referring to. And I've done some screen grabs of it to just kind of update you. But we're not going to spend a ton of time on that. I want to talk more about kind of how this applies to us and what you can do as online teachers, not only to protect yourself, but just to continue to be able to teach your students, legally. I hate to say that word, but to be able to do it without fear. And, I'm always one to follow the law, of course, and I've looked over these documents scrupulously. I actually wanted to do this live on Monday, but I wanted to take a little bit more time to find a couple more articles as well, and to before I did this. So normally I do these lives on Monday with other teachers. I love to interview teachers who are teaching online in different capacities. So I'm always looking for teachers. I have got one interview on this upcoming Monday, but you're always welcome to share your story, no matter how big or small or interesting or not interesting. It is always interesting to hear other online teaching perspectives and to hear what other teachers are doing with their online teaching businesses. So all you got to do is shoot me an email, give me a little paragraph about what you've been up to with online teaching and some dates that you're available, and I'd love to have you on the channel. All right, so let me just say hello to folks that are coming in. Kathy, hello. Masangu, hello. You can say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm streaming this on Facebook as well as YouTube. And so, yeah, thanks for tuning in live. And if you're watching the replay, I will chapter this so that you can jump to different sections if you're short on time. But welcome to you as well. And you can always ask questions in the comments after this is done. But if you have questions while we are chit-chatting live, please put them in. Let me know if you are teaching Chinese students. Let me know if you're working with a company. I would love to know those things. I like to use these lives as well as a little bit of announcement time, just because I have a lot of things going on and I wanted to share that. And I have a company, even though I don't talk about companies very much, I have recruited for buddies. They are a company that does not teach Chinese students, but they are looking for teachers at the moment. They pay pretty good. They offer 25-minute classes, and the unique thing about them is that they teach Israeli students. So they're looking for American and Canadian teachers who want to work Sunday to Friday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. So those hours are pretty good. And that's why I like to share them, because they're kind of an alternative in those time slots where you may not be normally teaching Chinese students. They want you to have experience teaching online. They want you to be energetic, all those things, flexible. They want you to create a positive language experience in the classroom. But they most importantly want consistency. So don't apply if you are just kind of looking for something for a couple of months. They really want teachers for the long term who can grow with them, and especially if you're able to open early slots, specifically on the weekend as well. It's a huge plus. So the link is in the description of the video. It's called buddiesclassroom.com/join the team. Let them know I sent you over. That might help. And that's an option. So that's the company I wanted to share right now. I told you about my Facebook group. That's below as well. Please subscribe if you're new here. I talk about online teaching topics. I mainly talk about independent teaching. And so that's why, the topic today about the Chinese regulations is falls under my domain. Although I'm not an expert, I just want to create a discussion and chit chat about what I interpret from the documents. And as well, do engage in the chat to keep the conversation going and maybe meet other teachers. So it's good to see you. Lou, is it with Lingo Ace? Hello. We've got someone from South Africa. Hi, Zonder. And Clive in Liuzhou, maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong, China. Heading home to Guiyang tomorrow. Was made redundant from my Chinese school at the end of June this year. So offer your perspectives. You're on the ground in China. I am not. And so, this policy, which in English is the double reduction policy, really took a lot of people for a spin when it happened, especially online teachers, but especially for those working in China in the after-school tutoring market. I mean, everything just crashed for you. And I wanted to say that, although many of us are teaching Chinese students independently, the size of our population is so small. We are not a big population in China of the English teaching market. It would be a fraction of a percent, if even that. And so sometimes when we see these regulations, we create panic around it. We get so concerned because of, are we still allowed to teach Chinese students? Look at these regulations, look at these laws, look at the penalties, look at the measures that they're putting into place. But they are not focused on us. They are focused on off-campus tutoring organizations. And we're going to look at that language so that you can feel comfortable in what you're doing. We are small fish in the tank of English teaching in China. And although it was a big deal when it all happened, and many large companies generating a lot of revenue had to pivot and change and often close their doors. What we're doing is really just a fraction of a percent of what the Chinese government is concerned with. So I just wanted to say that as well. Joshin says she's teaching Chinese students privately and South Koreans with Now. Oh, yes, I've heard of them. Actually, I was doing a little bit of recruiting for them maybe a year or two ago. So good to know that they're still happening. And where is that? They're South Korea. Okay, cool. Another company that I send teachers to with Korean students is Nil English, and I believe that I have a link below for them as well. They're always hiring every month. Not a ton of teachers, but they are teaching. Teacher April, teach standby right now for Magic Years and get about 20 to 25 classes a week. They are rebuilding. So tell me, April, what are they doing? Where are they based out of now? And what does that sort of look like in terms of who are you teaching? Are they Chinese students? Yeah, I'd love to know. Clyde, the double reduction policy is signed at increasing the birth rate, reducing the financial burden attached to education. I saw a few training centers closed. Michelle taught with VIPKid and now teach one private client for Carrot, ESL, and in-person gardening. Cool. I love that. That's very, very cool. Hey, all of you are sharing really great, snippets of what you do. And again, if you want to come on the channel and be interviewed, I do my live shows generally on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So you're more than welcome to pop on. So we're going to do some screenshots here, but what the heck was, this whole thing? And what was the purpose of it, I should say. So the purpose of the double reduction policy, as stated in a Ministry of Education document, it's very clear when translated to English, is to enhance school education, improve the quality of school classroom teaching, optimize homework assignments, improve the quality of after-school activities, reduce burden, achieve the purpose of improving students' comprehensive literacy, and building a good education ecosystem. The double reduction reduces the mental burden on parents and the financial burden on families, allowing subject education to return to the main focus of schools. Now, I could not have said that better myself. When I try to explain it to people, I used to include a lot of those things, but I found that article which really just explicitly states exactly what it's for. And it was to reduce the burden, the financial burden on families, and to, return education to the school system. Not a bad thing. Students are overworked, right? And it really wanted to reduce all these after-school classes that students are taking. So, I like that. I love that. I think that's really, really great. It had implications for companies. I'll say that again. It had implications for companies. And, all the companies had to pivot or close their doors, many overnight. And so, I think that's just really important to be aware of, that it doesn't really talk about individual teachers. Nothing that I have ever found talks about John in New York hopping on Zoom to teach Sally in Beijing for a half an hour. There's just nothing like that stated. And, I believe that it's just not a market that they're going after. It's just not a concern of the government to police that and to implement measures to, because, well, number one, we don't live in China, as many of us are teaching, online from different countries outside of China. It really doesn't have the same implications. If you are a teacher in China teaching online to Chinese students, then I would be very careful about how you're doing that. I think that these measures potentially speak more to you rather than to, us international teachers in various countries teaching online privately, one-on-one, with our own business, with one person in our business teaching to Chinese students. It really, and a lot of teachers ask me, well, what are the implications for parents? Are they going to be penalized? I have never heard of this happening in the last 2 years since this happened. I keep my ear to the ground in terms of, what's going on in China and what's going on with independent teaching. And I have never heard of this. And ultimately, it is their decision to hire a private teacher. And it is, it's our decision to teach privately. But again, it's their decision to hire that. So, if implications were to come down on the user end of things, then potentially there could be that situation. But, someone taking a class in their living room with a teacher in the US is just, in my opinion, never going to be policed or never going to have implications that a lot of these measures state. So let's crack on here. Share ideas in the chat. Wukong, thanks everyone for sharing. Yeah, go ahead. That's what the chat is for. And that's what I really love about the online teaching community is it's hard to get everyone centralized. We are so decentralized, teaching in our basements, our bedrooms, our living rooms, and oftentimes on our own. So, a lot of folks have made friends through my communities, and I love that, through my courses as well. If you're interested in teaching independently in the Chinese market, I have a very popular course called the Launch Going Solo course. You can watch my webinar. That's linked below. It'll tell you all about the course. It'll give you some free things to get started. You don't have to buy the course. You can just watch the webinar and take away some tools. The course really walks you from 0 to 100 to get started, to get your business off the ground with Chinese students. And so you're welcome to check those things out as well. Welcome to those that have just popped in. My email notification might have gone out, so that's great. Again, I'm going to make this available for replay on my YouTube channel and in my Facebook group as well. And you can ask questions below. I will check all of them, and I will have this chaptered within the next 24 hours so that you can jump ahead if you want to look at specific topics. All right, so let's crack on here and get into the sort of overview. And I found a great document, which was a Q&A by a reporter to the Ministry of Education. I've linked that there, down below as well. And one of the questions that they asked is, what is the overall idea behind the legislation of the measures? And it was, I'll summarize. It's basically saying that Xi Jinping, the president of China, has important goals and aspirations for the Chinese population, and wants to kind of manage the off-campus training, in accordance with the law. And off-campus training institutions, are working hard to implement the double reduction policy, to sort of follow the quote-unquote measures, which, as I don't highlight it here, but look sort of the fifth line down, focus on making off-campus training operate on the track of the rule of law, establishing rules for the administrative penalties for off-campus training, investigating and punishing illegal activities in accordance with the law, and protecting legitimate rights and interests, making healthy growth. So the document that has been shared around on Facebook, and I've had a couple people send it to me as well, really is a reclarification, but focusing more on punitive measures and focusing on, what will happen and how people can help to regulate things. And, in China, they have a lot of the sort of snitch kind of mentality where they encourage people to report things that are going on and report, a tutoring company that might still be operating to the government so that they can then, follow up and implement punitive measures to that particular tutoring institution. So it talks about, the question from this reporter was how to punish natural persons, legal persons, or other organizations. So I just want to hide this for a second. Let me just get those wordings again. Natural persons, legal persons, or other organizations. So they are talking about, in China, natural persons, legal persons, or other organizations. If you are teaching outside of China, you are not a natural person of China. You are not a legal person of China. I think what they mean by natural person might just be like a lay person who's opening up an organization. A legal person, that could be that. To me, I sort of interpret that as like someone who is qualified or has the credentials or has some sort of legal paperwork behind them to operate such institution. And then organization, someone that's, an organization, more than one person who is running an organization. We all know what that means. So it doesn't apply to us in that sense. Now, another preface that I want to make is I'm going to try not to talk in absolutes, like I have all the knowledge or like I am telling you that everything is A-okay and that you can still do this. So when I do that, I sort of I may not be finding the right words to not talk in absolutes, but I really don't want to talk in absolutes and tell you what this says exactly. I'm just going to show you and, maybe give you my interpretation and how it applies to me. I'll say that I'm not concerned, but I do think that there are some things that we can be aware of and think about in our teaching businesses going forward. Okay, so I highlighted that bottom section. Clarifies circumstances carrying out subject-based invisible mutation training without that jargon doesn't make sense to me, but here we go. And let's list 3 types of switching to online, switching to underground, and changing vest. So I see those 3. My interpretation is switching to online. Institutions that switch to online to cover themselves up. Switching to underground, to me, I know that China was really focused on, people that were sort of hiring housekeepers or hiring helpers in their home under the guise of something else in order to teach their children, right? What happens behind closed doors? How can you really find out? So those kind of things. And changing vest, just change. I see that as, basically just hiding what you're actually doing and making the name something different, but under the guise of something different, but still doing what you were doing before, changing vest. Okay. Invisible mutation behavior and cover clauses stipulate legal responsibilities ranging from warnings to fines of less than 100,000 yuan. At the same time, Article 16 of the measure stipulates that in-service teachers in primary and secondary schools who conduct subject-based training for a fee without authorization shall be severely punished in accordance with the law. Primary and secondary school teachers who conduct subject-based training. So they are targeting, again, subject-based teachers, primary and secondary school teachers. This does not apply to adults or university students. So if you are in China teaching those students, that's still fine. But it is, and again, if you're online teaching Chinese students, but you live outside of China, you're never going to be affected if you teach university and adults. And I really don't believe that we're going to be affected by teaching children because we are not an organization. We are not a natural person in China. We are not a legal person in China. All right. All right. Question number 6 from that interview. How to punish those who provide offline venues or online channels for illegal training activities and refuse to correct them. So this just kind of answers the question of, how are they going to punish these people? Well, providing offline venues or online channels. I did a keyword search for online in these documents as well to highlight things that apply to us. Because to be quite honest, like 98% of these documents that most people are panicking around and feeling concerned about, and where it generates all these questions about can we still teach Chinese students, never speaks about teaching ESL online. And it never refers, that I've ever seen, correct me if I'm wrong, and if you've got something that shows that, I'd love to see it. It never refers to a teacher overseas teaching one student at a time under a company of one person, that teacher, teaching Chinese students in China. It just doesn't refer to that I have ever been able to interpret. So let's go back over here. They must be punished in accordance with the law and dealt with the source. Article 19 of the measures clearly stipulates that if a natural person, legal person, or other organization knows or should know that its users are using, now here we go, instant messaging online, anyone who illegally conducts online off-campus training through conferences, live streaming platforms, that kind of refers right to what we're doing, and still provide services to them will be first ordered to make corrections within a time limit. And those who refuse to make corrections within the time limit will be given a warning or a notice of criticism. So that's really clear. But again, it's not speaking to individual independent ESL teachers, who are teaching Chinese students. So if you're in China, yes, read this very carefully. This applies to you. But outside of China, it's just not clearly stated in any of these documents. Another snippet here that I found quite interesting. Yeah, so the whole, as I talked to you before about the reporting stuff in China, the public is welcome to truthfully supervise and report. If you find clues about illegal training issues, you can make complaints and reports to the State Council's Internet and Inspection, the official website of the Ministry of Education, the China Education Supervision, WeChat official account, and the supervision of reporting channels open in various places if you find any illegal training issues. Again, if you just look at that sentence before that, supervision and reporting by the people is an important channel for discovering clues to illegal problems in off-campus training. That doesn't apply to us, I believe, and plays an important role in deepening the governance of off-campus training in accordance with the law. All right? Okay. I just want to check the chat here. Clive says there's still a demand for private tutoring in China. Some students that I taught in class have asked me to continue. Yeah, so I know you're in China, so I'd be curious of how you're going about that, but I'm not an expert or legal advice, but this may apply to someone in China definitely more so than someone outside of China. Did they change the law of teaching Chinese students from outside of China? The answer is no, nothing has changed. The regulations, from what I see, I didn't do a side-by-side comparison, but it's all very similar. I think they're just clarifying, repurposing that document, and maybe updating some of the measures and punitive measures specifically. Hello to you from South Africa. Excited teaching students. Sam is teaching private students in China. Excited to have a look at Koala Go as a new platform. Yes, me too. Actually, I taught a little bit on it. I really, really like it. I, as many of you know, still use Classin. So there's that. Now, talk about Classin for a second, because I know I've promoted them a lot, and they are a Chinese company. They are a Chinese online platform. They don't have students, but they, you may think that, us independent teachers is a large part of their market. It's like less than 1% of Classin's market. They're trying to get into it more. But, if you're in the Classin Facebook group and you're in lots of Facebook groups and you see lots of teachers talking about Classin, you might think that that's who is using Classin. It isn't. Classin is a global platform. They primarily, in talking to some folks at Classin at least a year ago now, but they really focus on university and adults, like universities especially. And they were used in school teaching during the pandemic. So you and I teaching students on Classin is just a fraction of their market and their demographic of users. So I don't have any fear about Classin. I did see this though, which just maybe provides a little bit, I'm sorry that it's so small, provides a little bit of assurance, I guess. So this is from Classin. We want to assure you that Classin has not received any official communication from Chinese local authorities regarding the prohibition of online platforms. Now, not companies, platforms like Zoom. Therefore, you can continue to use Classin as usual without any concerns. If we receive something official, then we will let you know at once. In fact, even prestigious institutions like Peking University, the top-ranking university in China, rely on Classin to deliver their global open courses. You can watch an example of this in action by visiting the following link. I didn't watch that, but that would be interesting. Rest assured, the Classin team is committed to providing uninterrupted service to our valued users. Now, should you have a backup? Absolutely. Should you have a backup to anything? Absolutely. So yeah, you definitely have a backup to Classin. I have Zoom. I also have Koala Go. Tons of backups. It's super easy to send a link to a student and get them started on something else should anything happen with Classin. I have 15 students. I teach all of my students on Classin. I have never had a student not be able to have classes on Classin. I have had some Wi-Fi issues. I have had a few glitches. It's not perfect, but it does the job. And because their servers are in China, things work really well. Especially with Chinese students. So welcome to those that are just popping in. We are talking about the Chinese regulations. If you want to just leave because you got the answer, that's okay. But I want to talk about, other things as well that I think you should be thinking about in terms of measures that you can put into place into your business. And one of them is have a backup online teaching platform. Certainly helpful in case anything happens. But remember, the independent ESL teaching population is so small. We are so small. You did a pie graph of all of the English teaching in China. As I said, John in New York teaching Sally in Beijing is like tiny, tiny, tiny. It really, really is small. So there are bigger fish that they're concerned about in China, and that's why I teach privately. I teach my Chinese students privately, and haven't had any hiccups in 2 years, and still love it to this day, and still feel very confident in promoting that market as a way to teach Chinese students. Again, they make that individual decision as a family to hire a teacher. They are not taking their children to off-campus institutions. They are, not hiring somebody in China to teach their student privately, because it does cover that. Really, we're not an individual person in China. So the reality of the Chinese government worrying about Tim in Thailand teaching 15 students, you can think that through. That would just be a useless use of time and energy, wouldn't it? And, it talks about, the punitive measures coming under the governance of Chinese law, but we don't come under that governance. We come under the governance and the laws of the country that we live in. And they don't care what you're doing. So, okay. I also found this little clause in chapter 3. This is the original not the original document, but sort of the reclarification of the document. It's the first link in the description of the video. What is offline training? What are they talking about? There are specific training venues for offline training and specific websites or applications for online training. So, number two, do you have more than 2 training practitioners? Mostly no. There are corresponding organizational structures and division of labor. I mean, this just does not apply to us. It doesn't apply to me, but you need to do your own research and figure out if that applies to you. If a natural person, legal person, or other organization conducts off-campus training without approval and meets the following conditions, which I don't meet those conditions, it constitutes an unauthorized off-campus training institution. It mentions off-campus training institution throughout these documents. It does not mention online teaching for independent teachers who are living in another country. All right. And it says, you'll be managed by the off-campus training department of the local county level people's government. Again, doesn't apply. I'm talking in absolutes again, but it doesn't. I can be assured that doesn't apply to me. Okay, so let's just pop that back out. We're almost done with the screenshots. Just want to pop up one more. Thank you for being here, everyone, on Facebook. We've got over 50 watching live. Really appreciate that, and would love it if you would hit the like button. I do these lives for free. I promote some of my courses and products, but watching this and being here is totally free. The best thing you can do for me is to hit the like button on the video, hit the like button on YouTube or Facebook. Helps YouTube know that this is valuable. You can comment, you can use the chat, you can share the video, pop the video into another Facebook group. That would be a big help, and I would certainly really, really appreciate that. The website for Buddies is in the description of the video. Joe, I do not know how bookings are with VIPKid, but I have heard that they are kind of on a little insurgence in terms of hiring. I've seen that from a few people. Personally, I still have a VIPKid account. I still have a referral link, but I have not seen a single teacher now apply and get hired with VIPKid since July or August of 2021. And, I have about 20 to 25 VIPKid focused videos on my channel. I create a lot of traffic of people applying to VIPKid. So that's just my answer to that is I don't think that they're hiring, and I don't think that they're, at least I haven't seen that. And I was getting, hundreds applying every month up until the double reduction policy. So I really don't know. And in terms of bookings, I think they've been pretty sparse in terms of what they've done since 2021. But they're not based in China anymore. They're trying to have a global market, and so I hope that things are going well. But I have heard some chatter around that. I just don't know how bookings are. So if anyone is with VIPKid, let me know. Hi, Cindy Ann. It has been a while. Thanks so much for being here. How are things going? I think you were in one of my launch courses eons ago, weren't you? I lose track sometimes. Let's have a look if there's any other questions. If you've got specific questions about teaching Chinese students, put them in there. If you've got concerns still about the policy, I'll try to answer them. But there you have it. So those are some of the screenshots that I wanted to share. I'm not going to put the document up and go through it. It's long, it's wordy. It doesn't always translate really well into English. And so the links are down there. If you want to take a look, I think it's really important as online teachers running your own business to make your own decisions. I do know teachers that have decided to go into other markets. And, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Learn how to market your teaching business. I can't say that enough. It's so important. If you are learning marketing strategies for the Chinese market, let's say you are learning how to use Wechat and Xiaohongshu, those same marketing strategies about, creating engagement, building trust, sharing what you offer, and converting students apply to anything. Of course, there are specific, technical things that are different within different apps, but you can take those same skills that you're learning to market to Chinese students and you can apply it to something else. You can apply it to adults through LinkedIn. You can apply it to homeschooling students. That's a huge market. If you're interested in teaching US, Canada-based homeschoolers, it's a huge market. And all you need to do, number one, know who you're teaching and what you're teaching. So really get firm on your market and your niche. But, find out where those people that have the buying power are hanging out. Where are the parents of homeschooling students hanging out? Once you figure that out, it's just all about creating content, answering questions, being helpful, building up your brand so that, when someone wants to hire a teacher, they think of you. I interviewed probably 6 months ago a Spanish teacher who just went into some Spanish homeschooling groups and, became kind of a go-to person for Spanish homeschoolers. And he's got hundreds of Spanish students now, and he's got group classes going on, hiring other teachers, so it starts small. It starts with one. Once you get one, you get two. Once you get two, you start getting referrals. And that's how you can really grow. So if you're at the very beginning stage of wanting to teach independently and getting tired of companies that are now paying, I would love to know, what is Magic Years paying? Who was that in the chat? If you're getting tired of companies that are paying little to next to nothing, then this is your kick in the pants to get started with independent teaching. I can help you with that. I have coaching for a very, very reasonable price that you can jump on a call with me. Shoot me an email. We can talk about if that's a good fit for you. I've got my launch course, which will really help you with the Chinese market. I've got some other things on there, building a website. I've got some webinars that I sell for less than $10. You can watch, some training on different things. It's and use the Facebook groups, whether it's mine or somebody else's. Ask questions, get to know other people, find out what other people are doing. It really can be so helpful to you and your business. All right, measures that you can take. So I hope that maybe in a broad sense clears things up. Don't panic. Rest assured that my interpretation of these documents is that they are targeting off-campus organizations and institutions, which is the same thing that we knew back in 2021. Nothing has changed. What could happen? Okay, so they're not going to go after you in your living room in South Dakota, right? But what could happen is that platforms like Classin could say, look, this market of independent teachers teaching Chinese students is just not what we're going for. It's not a big enough, part of the pie that we want to focus on. And they could close accounts for those teachers that are teaching in China online to children, if that's something that they were concerned about. That's like one thing that I could see happening. Another thing that I could, and so that means have a backup, right? Another thing that I could see happening is that it could become difficult for users to create WeChat accounts, although I really don't see that happening because WeChat is just so global now and there's Chinese people. Remember, marketing on WeChat or Xiaohongshu is not illegal. Marketing your teaching is not illegal. There are Chinese students in the US, expat families living in the US who use Xiaohongshu, just like we use TikTok or Instagram, who are looking for teachers. They're perfectly able to hire a teacher in another country. Absolutely no problems. So, I don't think that there's any concern of using like Xiaohongshu to market your classes. Absolutely not. There are certain things that you should be wary of posting and being careful about, what you say. But I just really don't think that there's massive need for concern around that because, as I said, it's a platform that can be used globally, same as WeChat. You want to be careful about not drawing attention to yourself. I would say that type of stuff could be reported by somebody, then maybe your account gets banned, but there wouldn't be any legal repercussions for you. And the thing about WeChat is it is a closed app, so you're not marketing outside of your current contacts. So use your contacts to help you grow. Give them valuable content so that they can share outside of of, your network to their network so that you could bring in, new leads through that. But another thing that could happen is, as I said, WeChat could create policies around it. I mean, people have talked about this for years. I've never seen it happen. So, going back to the thing about having a backup, I think you should have a backup for WeChat. When I enroll, I guess, a new student, I always get their DingTalk account, which is what a lot of Chinese adults use for work. And I also get their email address, which they don't really use that often, but and I have their WeChat. So I have backup communication with all of my students. I think that's super, super important. Just in case you wake up one morning and all of a sudden you can't use WeChat, or you've had some authorization on it that you need to comply with. And it's just like Facebook. I mean, I had a Facebook account for 14 years. And back in 2021 or 2022, I all of a sudden got locked out of my Facebook account, even with submitting verification. Somebody reported me, or something happened, or I don't know. And I never posted anything controversial, but I think that I was doing a lot of work with teachers and referral links in messages, and I think that created something that Facebook didn't like, and I was I lost everything, my entire Facebook account of 15 years. So my new Facebook account is just a couple of years old. It was really, really sad, but those things can happen with any platform. So if I only ran my business on Facebook, I'd be in trouble. Fortunately, I had a YouTube channel. Fortunately, I had an Instagram page. Fortunately, I have an email list, and I do email marketing. So, I had a lot of backups. I think the important takeaway is just have backups. But also, I want to emphasize that it's so important to think about your teaching business as a business, and to think about how you can grow. So for everybody watching, I want you to think about, how you can grow your business. What other markets could you tap into? What other things could you do that could create other income sources for your teaching business? I've talked a lot about in other videos and lives that I've done about passive income, or at least being having the opportunity to create something to sell to students or to whatever client that you are working with. Primarily, I work with teachers. Like, the online teaching stuff I do is really a small part of my day and a very small part of my business, even in the revenue sense. And so I primarily, work with teachers. And so I'm always thinking about how I can better serve online teachers and create revenue that way, and to offer things that are helpful for online teachers. So I would encourage you to go back. I've been talking about that for about 40 minutes, but nothing has really changed, to be honest with you, in terms of that. But I would encourage you to watch the replay of this, because I do go over key snippets from the documents. It's basically the same thing as what was said in 2020, 2021. Graham, I'm not sure what you mean. Unpack my bag and ask for a refund. Sorry. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Maybe you posted something earlier. Hello from Taipei. Daniel Greens from Taipei. Is Winnie the Pooh now blocking Zoom, etc.? No. I know that Zoom has had some issues. I feel like when one person posts about Zoom problems, a lot of people do. I don't know why that is, but Zoom has had some issues in China. And sometimes, or usually, it's on the user end, but it could be on Zoom's end too. I don't know. But alternatives to that are Vuv, and of course, Classin, if you want to use a more comprehensive platform, or Koala Go, another great one as well. VIPKid or Super Teachers, another one, I believe. Facebook user. Sorry, I don't know your name. You can authorize Facebook underneath the video to state your name. I'm just confused on the source of this info, Tim. I think I'm missing a piece of that puzzle. Well, if you were here from the beginning, I shared documents or screenshots from documents from the Ministry of Education in China. So it's right from the horse's mouth. And those links are in the description of this video as well. So yeah, there you go. Cool. All right. Other measures. So, I think it's important to learn and educate yourself as a business owner on all these things so that you can feel assured about what you're doing. I feel 100% assured about what I'm doing, and none of this phases me at all, but I wanted to come on and chat about it. I want you to think about how you can grow your business from now, right now, today. What's the date? Thursday, September 21st. Don't become complacent. Think about what can you do to get students from other countries if China is still a concern for you. I'm not going to tell you not to be concerned because I don't want to talk in absolutes, but my interpretation is what I've stated, and I'm not concerned. So, but how can you grow your business with other income avenues? Can you offer group classes? Can you, maybe target or start to do some market research or a little bit of research around another country? I mean, every country in the world is looking for online learning. Well, maybe except a few, but there's online teaching happening all over the world. So there's markets everywhere. Consider, as I said before, taking those same marketing strategies to other social media to find students in other countries. And also think about, how can you avoid some of these punitive measures about being reported and maybe having accounts locked? Well, you can, be careful about how you talk about your online teaching. You can avoid certain words, related to that. I'm not going to give you a list of those words, but you can phrase things in a way that still communicate that you offer support in English, but maybe you can be careful around the wording of those things as well. As I stated many times in this live, get backups for everything, backup for your online classroom and things like that. But, the market is still huge. It is massive in China. And our little demographic of independent teachers is so tiny compared to the billions of people in China and millions of students who want to take classes. They just can't take classes with off-campus institutions, and they cannot take classes with teachers outside of school in China under the guise of companies, institutions, and whatever else people want to call them. But the policies, from my interpretation, don't speak to an individual outside of China teaching one student in China. All right. So if you would like to get started with online independent teaching, I would encourage you to check out my free, absolutely free webinar. It is called The 3 Secrets to Launching and Growing Your Online ESL Teaching Business. It is a free live training. At the last 10 minutes of the training, I tell you everything about the Launch Going Solo course. Should that be something you want to enroll in, it is available at any time to purchase. It is a very reasonable price. It's under it's $97, but it really gets you up and going. And I've had, over 450 teachers take the course, and many who watch my lives and help in the Facebook groups. And so I really stand behind it. But I have other things as well, lower price things. I've got like downloadables that you can get, and very inexpensive web trainings to watch and things like that. So go to my website, onlineteacherdude.com. Links are below as well for my Facebook group, and you can check all of those things out if you're interested in online teaching. I've also got just a simple free bootcamp course, totally free. You can go to onlineteacherdude.com/free course. And that really helps you get started at like ground zero for companies. If you want to like get hired with a company first, which I often do recommend, because not everyone's able to make that jump into doing it on their own. And so, learn the skills. If you've never taught online before, take that free course and get started with, just applying to a couple companies, even if they pay lousy. Don't stick with them for more than a few months. But if you need something to get started with, jump in there. Thank you, Cindy Ann. Started your launch course, which I love, but need to finish. But all I wanted to do is dive into your upcoming amazing and affordable paying courses. Oh, you are super sweet. Hope to email you soon and tell you more about myself. Yes. And I look forward to that. English with Trevor. Good evening. Good evening. Yes, Trevor was on the channel before as well. Hey, Myra. good to see you. Gosh, I haven't seen your name in ages. You use Zoom. So what is going on with you? Oh, there you go. I'm still here teaching online, VIPKid. So you can answer the question about VIPKid. How are the bookings and what is going on? Private students and other US-based platforms, diversification is key. I've always said that. You're really I'm so glad to see that you're still in the game. I haven't been super active on Instagram. I know that's where we used to connect and stuff, but I've known you for, gosh, I think like maybe I helped you get hired with VIPKid, I think back in 2018 or something like that, was it? Can't remember now. Or Go Kid. It's all kind of a blur. I've now been teaching online with companies. Well, I got hired with VIPKid in January of 2018 and started the YouTube channel right away and helped recruit teachers. And I've been with like 4 or 5 different companies and diversified and created courses. And oh my gosh, it's just every day is different and it's fun and exciting. And I think when you tap into the online world, there's so many opportunities. But I think the most important thing you need is motivation and drive within yourself to make things happen. Success that I've had with different things has always been because I'm motivated to help. I'm motivated to work from home, to create an income for myself. That drives me to do different things. Do I need a kick in the pants every once in a while? Absolutely. I mean, it's hard working on your own. It's hard working from home sometimes. But I say this all the time in my courses and coaching and things, that just put one foot in front of the other every single day. Sometimes you get up and all you can do is one thing, and that's okay. Sometimes you get up and you just can't do anything. That's okay. Take a day off. It's okay. But just keep making progress. And, I tell the launch students, like when I used to run the course for 2 weeks, if you did like even half an hour, even less every single day of work towards your business, like that's like 6 hours or more of work towards something. You'll be really surprised at the progress that you can make when you just do a little bit every single day. You may not feel like it's progress, but it really will all add up. It was like, just things like the YouTube channel. I just made videos, like silly videos about VIPKid that I didn't know what I was doing. And then it just starting to build. It was just like building that wall, that house, progress over perfection. But after time, it really does amount to something. So summer was crazy. 300 you always worked so much. I remember that. Yeah, 2019. Oh, and Otto, it's so good to see you. So can I share your story? Teaching VIPKids still, that's great. Getting about 20 hours a week. So bookings are pretty good. Who are the students mainly with VIPKid? Clearly, they have adjusted. Parents will always want the best for their kids, and people need to know English. Exactly. So, what was I going to say? Clearly. Yeah, I mean, I've totally drawn a mental blank. I was going to say something about VIPKid. The salary. So, I used to make $24 an hour with VIPKid. It was really, really good. When I was doing short notice, I was at kind of the top of the pay in terms of my entry after doing the demo. And then I just maximized on every little thing I could do to add on to that. And it amounted to about $24 an hour. Now, I believe they pay $7 per class. So I'm so pleased to hear you're still with VIPKid. I helped Otto get in with VIPKid 2019. And, at that, if you got hired with these companies, they were requiring you to do these demos, right? They were crazy little demo videos that you had to do perfectly. You had to check all the boxes. And once you passed the demo, then you did this mock class where you had a live person in front of you. I mean, no one can say that they ever enjoyed that. I certainly did. And I did 2 mock classes, I think, or 1. I can't remember. But poor Otto. How many mock classes did you do, my friend? They let him repeat the mock classes, until he got it. And it wasn't that he's a bad teacher or anything like that. It was like almost like a computer generated checklist that if you didn't meet all these things, it just invited you to do it again. But, you're a successful teacher now, and you're getting $17 an hour. You did like 9 or 10. I remember that. My friend. I'm surprised you didn't give up, but that was something else. I got about 7. I get 7. So are there some like little? There must be some little incentives that you can add on to the 14, right? If a school specifies that they are looking for US, UK, CA teachers, is it worth applying still if you are a native speaker but not residing in one of those countries? No, it isn't. They really are strict with that. You certainly can try, but the ones that stipulate US and Canada, it's like that's really all they're looking for. If they kind of give a list of native English speaking countries, go for it. It usually really has to do with the passport, and oftentimes when you submit the passport, you're disqualified. But not okay. Sorry, I want to just not residing. Yeah, so I've never resided. I've never taught online and resided in a native speaking country. I started in Malaysia and I teach in China. I'm in Thailand now. I've taught in many countries online with VIPKid, but I'm a Canadian citizen, right? That's all that they care about. If you're a native English speaker from one of those countries, that's all that matters. But residing in, I've never seen that an issue except with OutSchool. They want you actually, for some reason, residing in one of those countries. Yeah, exactly. You have to have the passport, as Otto said. So I think we just got a little surge of a few more people popping in. Do go back and watch the replay. I'll have chapters on this within the next 24 hours, depending on when I get to it. But you're welcome, and I encourage you to watch the replay. Chime in with your questions and things like that, and any of concerns that you have. I'll do one quick scan back up through here because my goal was to finish this within the hour, and we are 2 minutes away. VIPKid is paying $30 an hour to Chinese-based teachers who hold a work visa. Interesting. I told you the website for buddies. I'm going to be honest, they're only looking for a few teachers this month. I'm not sharing it anywhere else except on this live. So if you want to apply to a company that I think has a great curriculum and they're very small, family oriented, they want consistency, they want teachers for the long term to grow with them, and you are from US or Canada and you want to teach Israeli students, this could be a great opportunity for you. You can go to the link in the description of the video. Let them know I sent you. That will help. And their website is buddiesclassroom.com. Join the team. So I'll just post that in here. Cool. And again, things you can do right now. Join my Facebook group, Going Solo Independent Teaching. If you are not, if you have never enrolled in any of my free courses or the free webinar or things like that, the links are in the description of the video to do that. Take care of yourselves. Don't panic. I'm here to be a little bit of a voice of reason. Not an expert, not a lawyer. Don't live in China. Don't live in China. Have absolutely no experience with Chinese law, nor do I understand half of the document. But I do have some, I guess, a little bit of insight, maybe, just as someone that's been in the game for a while and have done a little bit of homework and research before this live to provide this content for all of you. So hopefully that was helpful. But as business owners, this is not legal advice. Do your own research, and there we go. What's coming up here? So Monday I've got an interview, and save the date. November. Let me just double check here. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because that defeats the purpose of save the date. But block out your calendar on, if you're an online teacher looking to get in and start building or taking it to the next level. Keyword there, that those that were at the event last year will know what I'm talking about. We're doing things a bit differently this year, but November 10th and 11th, block it out in the morning. And I think you can probably guess. But I will be giving more information about that next week or the week after, and the ability to register for that. So thanks everyone for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Before you go, subscribe. Free. And you can just look below and see if you're subscribed or not. Hit the bell for notifications, because that's how YouTube tells you I'm going live. And hit the like button of the video. Thank you so much. If you found this helpful, click share or copy the URL, post it in your favorite online teaching Facebook group. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to sign out. It is getting late here in Thailand. Loved being here and seeing everybody. If I didn't answer your question, shoot me an email. I will get back to you. Take care, everyone. Happy teaching. Rest assured, all is okay. And I will see you next Monday for a great interview. Bye-bye, everyone.